Well, good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me, and congratulations with your beautiful congress that you have. Today I would like to share with you some thinking about quality in general and about quality in nursing homes in the Netherlands. I will say something about the developments in nursing home care, something on how we look at quality health and on the outcomes of quality management, something about the changing policies on quality of care. I will say something about the national framework for quality framework for nursing homes, say something about an implementation program that my organization runs, and a few words about the future, and that in 24 minutes and 10 seconds. We in the Netherlands come from a situation where around 1970 we had many people living in residential settings. It was about 11–12% of people who lived in residential homes, nursing homes. And now we got back to about 3 or 4%. So we have already a large period of deinstitutionalization behind us, but we come from a very, we are traditionally a very institutionalized country compared to you. That means that at present we have to get used to many users, residents in nursing homes, patients, however you will call them, who are severely disabled, who have suffered from dementia and have many diseases, many impairments. So the problem of people in nursing homes is increasing very rapidly. So therefore we have nursing homes that are multidisciplinary. So we have nurse assistants, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, psychologists, doctors. It's all included in the staff. So it's in principle an integrated system, and it's pretty professionalized. But when we think about what quality is, we should first have to think about what is quality of life and what is health. And I start with a definition of health of the WHO. And we in our country have a debate, no, not a debate anymore, we are beyond this definition. The WHO stated in 1948 that health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And when I would ask you, who of you is without any physical, mental, or social impairment, who doesn't have these types of infirmities or diseases, I think almost no one could say, yes, I'm perfectly well on all levels. Because of the good healthcare, many of us survive with diseases, with infirmities, and we can live along with it very well. So this definition, which was very well useful in the 1940s, is not useful anymore, we think, in our current situation. So in our country, we use a new concept of what health is, and that's much more about resilience. Can people deal with their life? Can they adapt and self-manage in the face of what happens in their life, in the social domain, in the physical domain, and emotionally? This means that we look at health much more as a dynamic concept, and it relates to all kinds of spheres of life. Machteld Huber, she's a physician, a GP, she used to be a GP, has developed this framework, and she says, well, health is about bodily functions, mental functions, spiritual, quality of life, social participation, and about daily functioning. And you should be dealing with all these domains in life. And for some person, one domain is easier than the other, but this has to be in balance for you as a unique person. So everyone has a different type of scores, if you like to, on these dimensions. So in line with this thinking, we think we should need to think differently about quality of care. And what not has been said yet, but I'm also a member of the Dutch Quality Council, and the Quality Council sets the standards for quality standards, if you can follow me. So this means that we define what should be seen in the entire field of healthcare, mental health, nursing homes, what should be seen as quality of care. And we say, well, quality is not a thing, is not a definite issue. Quality is a moral concept, and quality of care has to contribute to the quality of life of people. And quality of life is what should be seen as taken as a point of departure, the perspective of the person, of the patient, of the care user, or the resident, but the person is the point of departure. And it is about what is a good life from that person's perspective. And it has to do with, are you able to direct your life yourself? Can you steer your life yourself? Are you connected with other people? And can you live a meaningful life? This is what, in our view, is where quality of life is all about, and quality of care is when care providers are able to support quality of life, as experienced by this person. What does it mean? It looks very theoretical, but I can give you a small example. Once a physiotherapist said to me when she was working with an older lady who had broken her hip, she said, it's not so difficult to let her walk, to learn her to walk, but it is difficult to find a reason why she should walk. And if we look in a traditional way to quality of care, the outcome would be, can she walk? And in the new concept is there a reason for her why she should walk, and does she want to walk? And if so, do we manage to support her in that? It is a very normative concept. It is very personal. It differs between people, but it is also shared with next of kin, with other people in their surroundings, but it also has a collective element. We are speaking nationally, locally on what is quality of care. It has many perspectives and it has many interests are being dealt with. Putting the patient in the center is great, but the care worker, the professional, is also a person who is involved in this. And if we only put the patient in the center and neglect the needs and the interests of the care providers and the professionals, we have a problem. It is contextual. What quality is now will be different than quality will be in 20 years' time. And quality here in Barcelona, in a specific area, will be different than in the other area, or in the Netherlands, or in Finland, for instance. It is only to a certain extent to be made objective and collective. It is personal, but you can, to some extent, make it collective. And quality of care is not about having a good average score. No one is the average. Everyone is a deviation from the average. So we don't like speaking about averages if we look at how are we doing. So where it's all about when we talk about quality care, quality of care. We think it is important to increase the capability of people to live a good life, and health and a good condition, health in a broader sense, is a condition for that. So we should work on the health of people in terms of resilience, dealing with the problems that appear. It also is a balance. Quality of care should be balancing out what people need and want, what their relatives want, because the family is also in our country very important, with volunteers, with professionals, with organizational interests, and with the health and care system as such. With all of us, we have to decide what we pay for, what should be allowed in our society, yes or no. So it is a balance of interest. It's not only an individual issue. As has been said before, it emerges, it is there in the interaction of the person, of the service user, and the care professional. And it is their challenge to come to shared decision-making. It was already defined in Alma Ata, but it is still a huge challenge to make this shared decision-making a reality. We often think we do, but if you look at from the perspective of the service user, of the person, we often don't manage. It is not without having a sound knowledge base. We expect from professionals that they have a good knowledge, that they also use measurable data, and that they also look at that's an important input for the way they work and deal with quality and the person. But it should also look at the experience of the service user, and it should look at the experience of the care professional. The care professional has a lot of knowledge about what in general works well, but he or she should determine on an individual case, based on his personal or her personal experience, what shall work with this person and what does this person want. Main point, I think, is that quality of care deals about improving and learning. And we in our country, we have organized a lot about quality of care. We have thousands of indicators when you're in a hospital, you're working in a hospital. There are thousands of quality indicators, and they are being ticked by the professionals because they have to, because of the inspection or the government or the healthcare insurer, but not because of their own learning process. And we want to bring back using indicators for learning and improving, and working on with quality systems and quality management in order to improve learning and improving your practice. It should be grounded in the intrinsic motivation of service providers and care professionals. Now it is often they work on quality management because they have to, for some reason from the management who says, etc. But they should be intrinsically be motivated, so it should be fun, it should be rewarding to learn and to work with quality management. And quality management, quality of care is not a thing as such. It should be embedded in a societal view on what quality is. We should talk about how much do we pay, is quality, is care available for everyone, and can we afford it in the future? So we cannot just say, well, everything you wish can be done. So it has to be balanced out with ideas about convictions in society about what we should do with quality. Well then, how does this is the vision, but now how does it become reality? Our policy on quality is changing. We see, as I said before, the person is the point of departure. We say learning and improving is important. We put less emphasis on regulation, inspection, and accreditation. We think that's too far away from the people who are working in practice. The emphasis should be on what we call horizontal accountability, or can you learn with your peers? Can you learn with colleagues from other organizations, other departments, how to improve your care? So we try to stimulate that peers are inspecting each other and that they are learning from each other, more than that further away higher authorities are looking at practice. We don't want any more reports to various organizations about what quality is. We have a high bureaucracy in our country. It has partly to do with this. We want to have less centrally collected indicators just on safety. That's quite enough, we think. Less is more, we think. You need to develop indicators with which you work with and which are practical for your daily improvement. In our new quality frameworks, we have pretty free formats in which organizations have to report and in which they have to share their learning experience, because everyone has an own learning loop, has an own vision on what quality should be, and you find your peers with whom you exchange, but it can be in different formats. In our country, the field people working in practice develop the standards. If they don't come to an agreement, we as the Quality Council can make the final decision. We are have the final say about that. Important is that we give more trust to the professionals, also that has been said before. because our system is organized from a system of distrust. We don't trust professionals, we don't trust organizations, and we say, well, you need to trust people in order to give good care. And reducing bureaucracy is self-evident, I would say. So how does it work out for nursing homes? We have defined 3 years ago a framework for how we look at the quality of nursing homes as an organization. And number one is that they have to perform well on person-centered care. Point two is this live and well-being. It means daily living and well-being. Things like, is there a nice and a good program in your home? Is there enough to do? Is it clean? Are you being cleaned enough? Do you have a good housing accommodation? That's where this point is all about. 3 is safety, medication, falls, etc., well-known topics. 4 is, are you learning and improving, which is not a very easy thing, as we notice. These are the 4 points that we say that should be arranged in quality and safety, and that should be seen in the working processes and the ground floor. When you look at the conditions that has to be organized by management, we said there should be good leadership, good governance. Clients, service users, residents have to have a say in what happens in their organizations. There should be enough staff. We don't have hard norms. There was a political debate. We should have 2 care assistants on 8 residents. And we said that's not a wise rule. Maybe, and I thought it is a stupid rule, in fact, but it's not a wise rule. We say you should have flexible norms depending on the characteristics of the people whom you are serving at the moments of the day, the critical moments in the care process. It should be fit with the accommodation that you have, the facilities that you have. So there should be a flexible norm. It should be sufficient, and on critical moments you should be with more than one. That was a pretty vague type of norm that we set. No one could think of a better norm. They took 2 years to think of a better norm, and no one could come with a better norm which was based on evidence. And in fact, everyone can work with it. Everyone knows what is sufficient and what is not sufficient. Use of resources, technical equipment, etc. And is there a good information system for care providers, care professionals, as well as for clients and patients? So that's where this framework is all about. That was easy written down, but now how can you work with it, and how are you working with it? My organization, Vilans, has a huge program in which we support nursing homes to improve their care and to meet the requirements of this quality framework. We had done similar programs before, and we are building up on many other experiences we have with large-scale implementation. And we support nursing homes in general, so all nursing homes in the country, and specific nursing homes with whom we support at site, in their accommodations, just being on the spot, in fact. And we want them to meet all the criteria, of course. There is a general knowledge sharing. I will say a few words on that later on, with huge conferences, even larger than yours. And we are campaigning and raising awareness, so people are aware of there is a framework, what should be done in the framework, how can you work on it. It looks very theoretical the way we have written it up, but if you look at practice, this is how it can be done in practice. There's an intensive involvement of our government, because quality of nursing homes is certainly also a policy issue, and they spend a lot of money on it to support homes to improve their practice. So they say, well, we have legislation, we have funding systems, so we have, and the minister often says, well, it should be good care. So that are the traditional things that a government does. But in our case, they have a 4th policy measure, in fact, which is supporting organizations individually and collectively to implement this framework. Looking at the general part of the program, we have websites, meetings, trainings, etc. And our minister is also often on the stage to say things, to encourage people, and goes to these sites and say, well, you're doing a great job. And that's very helpful. So what are our experiences at this moment? At this moment, there's some, I think, almost 300 organizations who participate or have participated. And most of them join us because they want to see, where am I? How do we do on this quality framework? Because we start with an assessment. How is your specific location? How's your specific dwellings? In fact, how are you doing in that particular setting? And some of them also apply, it's more than 100% because you can have more reasons. They also apply because they can receive on-site support. It differs a little bit in the country how popular this program is and how many organizations subscribe. The dark is a lot and the light are no. So it differs a bit about across the country, and that's probably because the healthcare funders are stimulating participation more in one region than in another region. So money still matters. What are the main issues that they are working on? That is, safety is a big issue always. It's also a very thing that you can really measure pretty well. It's staffing, having enough staff, labor market shortages. It's leadership, which is often an issue. Sometimes it's not the organization, but it's the leadership which is the problem. And it's person-centered care. Many people find it very difficult how to operationalize, make it concrete, what person-centered care is. What we also do when we start, we make a scan, and that's a discussion with care professionals, the doctors, the family members, the patients, and the management of an organization. We ask them, how are we doing on all these various fields of this quality framework? And we see very different views. Sometimes the professionals are more negative on what they provide than the users are. So often the users are very satisfied, the professionals are not. Sometimes management and professionals differ. These are some issues on which they differ. So when there's a big difference, and I said quality is a normative issue, there is a reason to talk to each other. What shall we improve? What is necessary to improve? So that's the starting point of a large program that is written up, and we contract each other. We contract the organization, and the organization contract us of how we are going to support them. And we have a stepwise approach. First the assessment, then the proposal, then the support, and regularly we measure and have this sort of meetings of are we making any progress? And it could be that after a year the scores will be more negative, not because they are doing worse, but they see more what is going well and what is going not well. So they have much more insight in what they are doing. Well, at this moment we are on many places in the country. We work at workers level, so we teach people, nursing staff, how to do their medication, how to do this, how to do that. But we also work on the management, because often the management is the problem. So it's on two levels that we intervene, and these are very intense projects, trajectories. Websites, well, many followers, etc., so it should be more. And important is that people enjoy it and they have fun, they are intrinsically motivated. Finally, what about the future? I think that the idea of the patient's perspective is the leading principle, is the leading perspective, and it's all about living a good life. I think that's the future for quality of care, quality of life, quality management. It should be about learning and improving. It should be on resilience and lifestyle, and it should be start in earlier stages of life. If you start, we are now working very much on nursing homes, but that's in the final stage. We should work earlier on having resilience, being a resilient citizen and having a good health. I think you had a beautiful session yesterday afternoon on palliative care. These principles are for nursing homes with people with dementia. Dementia is a terminal disease. In fact, we could apply these principles for them as well. Well-being of the staff is an important issue, and the quality of the dialogue is key, we believe. If we have a dialogue between all actors within the nursing home and with society, that's key. It's not easy, but that's the next step. Thank you very much for your attention.